Hi, I'm Eric. Today I'm going to walk you through how to flush mount the Stinger Heighten 10-inch multimedia infotainment system into the dash of your GM truck. Heighten is packed with tons of features: Android Auto, CarPlay, dual USB ports, Bluetooth, a lot more power than the factory radio, and 6 channels of RCA pre-outs at 4 volts each. So if you want to expand your system with amplifiers, it's totally ready for that. Of course, one of the most stunning features is the 10-inch touchscreen HD display. So come with me as I show you how awesome our kit is and how easy we've made it for you to flush mount that Heighten display into the dash of your GM truck. Before we start, we need to find out what radio is equipped in our truck. We can look one of 2 places. Inside the glove box, there's typically a list of codes. If that's not there, inside the door jamb, you should find a QR code. Scan the QR code with your smartphone and look for the I/O code. On the 3rd line down, we see IO5. That's our radio code. This particular install video applies to IO3, IO4, IO5, and IO6. If you see IOB, as in boy, you need to watch our other installation video because different harnesses are used for your installation. This kit is plug and play, but does require a little bit of vehicle disassembly, so we rate this a 3 out of 4 pry tools on our installation difficulty scale. Before we get started, let's review what tools we'll need. A ratchet, 7mm socket, T15 Torx driver, nylon pry tool, zip ties, snips, dash snake, pick tool, and a screwdriver. Now we're ready to start taking apart the truck. First, we're going to remove this large trim panel that goes around the factory radio. So grab your nylon pry tool and start prying toward yourself. There's clips on the bottom, the top, and the sides. Disconnect the harnesses and remove the plastic. Now we have access to the 4 7mm bolts that need to be removed to take out the factory radio. The radio is held into place with 2 clips, so just pull it straight out. Disconnect the harnesses. We're going to take this piece over to the bench because we do need to remove this climate control panel and insert that into our new dash kit. If your truck is equipped with a factory CD player, remove the 2 7mm bolts and disconnect it and remove it from the truck. We're also going to remove the factory radio brain, so unplug it and remove it from the truck. Lift up on the latching tab on the top side of the truck and pull the brain out from the truck. Now we're ready to remove this lower storage compartment. There's 3 T15 Torx screws we need to remove, 1 on the top and 2 down on the bottom. The bottom ones are close to the carpet, so you're going to either need a ratchet and a T15 Torx or a screwdriver. Now we can pull out that lower storage compartment and unclip the harnesses. Using a pick tool, there's little locking tabs on the side of these harnesses. Push those in to release them. Now we're ready to remove the upper and lower glove boxes. There's a total of 6 T15 Torx bolts we have to remove. 4 in the lower glove box and 2 in the upper glove box. Now we can remove the 2 T15 Torx bolts from underneath the knee bolster and remove it from the dash. Then we'll have access to 2 more T15 Torx bolts up underneath the steering column. The tilt lever on the side of the steering column needs to be removed so that we can remove the steering shroud. So grab the lever and pull it straight out towards the driver's side of the truck. So now with all the screws removed, we can simply disconnect the 2 pieces of the plastic that hold the shroud together. So there's pieces in the back and pieces near the front here. Unclip them and remove them from the truck. That's it for vehicle disassembly. Now let's head over to the bench, set a few things up, and then we'll come back to the truck to complete the install. Now we're ready to remove the climate control portion from the factory radio panel. To do this, lay it down on a soft cloth, push up on the front of the control panel while you push down on the trim panel. There's 7 clips along the edge. Work your way from one edge to the other. With this piece removed, we can now clip it into our dash kit. Simply line it up and snap it into place. Now with our climate control panel installed in our dash kit, we can install the height and display. Set it into the panel, flip it over to install the 4 mounting screws. We're going to use the 4 longest screws that come with the height and hardware pack. And that's all it takes for this piece. Now our height and display is mounted and ready to go into the vehicle. So we'll set that piece aside for now. We're going to take that lower pocket we removed earlier, we're going to take out the factory cigarette lighter port and install our dual USBs, which will be used for CarPlay and Android Auto. So using a pick tool, we need to push on these tabs while pushing on the back of the cigarette lighter to push it out from the front of the kit. Now we can take our dual USB cable and feed these through the factory panel. Then take your 2 locking nuts and thread those on to lock it into position. And that's all the prep work we need on the bench. Now we can take these pieces and head back to the truck and continue our installation. The Heighten does feature a microphone built into the front of the screen, but it also includes an external optional microphone. If you choose to install this microphone, grab it and one of the included clips, snap them together. We're going to clip it here above the headliner, and then we're going to run behind the weather stripping and follow the A-pillar down to the bottom of the dash. Now that we've routed the microphone connector down to the floor, we can grab the 10-pin T-harness with this long connector and route it and the connector up through the dash to where the Heighten will sit. We'll route these at the same time. Now our microphone and steering wheel control wires are here where the Heighten's going to be connected. Now we can connect the steering wheel control T-harness at the steering column. This truck has a factory reverse camera, so now we're going to take our factory reverse camera retention harness, we're going to locate the connector here on our HMI module, disconnect it, plug in our harness, and then route the RCA cable up through the dash to where the Heighten will sit. Now we can reinstall our lower storage bin with our newly added dual USB ports. So we'll set this piece down here. We'll route the dual USBs up by the factory power wires. Now the cigarette lighter plug's not going to work anymore, but we still want to connect our 110 volt outlet plugs. Then reinstall the 3 T15 Torx bolts that secure that pocket into place. Now we're ready to connect the main harness to the vehicle. Our kit does come with 2 harnesses. The harness that we're going to use in these trucks ends in HAR-C. It has the connectors that mate with your vehicle connectors. Now this gives us a few connection points for our other harness. 2-pin power and ground, and this large connector here. This green wire labeled SWC input connects to the wire we brought over from the steering column. So take that and connect the bullet connector. The video feed from our factory reverse camera is going to plug into this small cable that says CAM GM51 input. Now we're going to make our connections to our radio replacement module. We just need to make sure that the radio select switch is set to position 4 before we plug the harness into the vehicle. If it's not set, grab a small screwdriver or a knife and set it to position 4. Now we just have to cut away this label so that we can connect our vehicle harness. The radio replacement module has 2 places for this plug, amplified factory audio and non-amplified factory audio. This kit is only compatible with trucks with non-amplified factory audio, so connect into this port. This is our chime module. There's a hole to let the sound out, and on the side there's a 4-position potentiometer. The 4 positions are for level adjustability: off, low, medium, and high. Adjust it for what works best in your truck. Then it plugs into this 2-pin plug on this harness. On this large height and harness that has many RCA cables, we're going to be connecting the reverse camera in and the factory aux connectors. Locate the long cable labeled reverse camera in. That's going to connect to our camera input. Locate the cables labeled aux in and connect those to the red and white RCA cables here. If you installed the optional extended microphone, grab this 2-connector harness and connect your microphone cable in here. Take the antenna adapter, and that's going to connect to the factory black connector that was coming out of the factory head unit. The yellow similar connector will not be used, along with the gray connector, so we'll just tuck those inside the dash. This is what's going to connect to the Heighton for AM/FM reception. One more harness to connect is this harness, which has our pink speed sense wire. This is going to plug into the pink wire here on our main harness. Now we can grab the Heighton brain and connect all of our harnesses before we stick it in the dash. We have our 2 LVDS and power connection cables. Plug those into the back of the Heighton now. These 2 are going to be hanging out of the dash so that when we put the display on, they'll connect to the back of the display. Now we can take our GPS antenna, stick it right on the top of our Heighton brain. We're going to bring the excess cable in a loop. Once we've made a loop, we're going to twist it over, fold it back, and now zip tie that to itself. So now we have as many winds going clockwise as we do going counterclockwise. That should counteract any magnetic fields that are built up. We're going to be able to tuck that inside the dash, right inside here. Before we slide the Heighton into the dash, we are going to put a small piece of double-side tape right on the front to help secure it into the dash. Now we can take the radio replacement module and the extra wiring and tuck it inside the dash before we attach the Heighton display. When bundling up our extra cables, I'm going to zigzag the cables back and forth and use a zip tie to keep them neater inside the dash. Before we snap our Heighton display into the dash of the truck, we do have 2 metal clips that we're going to attach to these 2 plastic posts. They're going to help hold it into place before we attach the 4 7mm bolts. So just slide these on. Now we can attach the display and power cables to the back of our Heighton screen and reconnect the factory climate control harness. Now with our display in place, we're going to go ahead and turn the truck on and make sure that everything works and powers up before we reassemble the vehicle. Now that we've verified the functionality and everything's working great, we can start to reassemble the vehicle to finish the installation. And that's all it takes. Just like that, we've professionally installed a Hyten 10-inch multimedia infotainment system flush in the dash of our GM truck. We hope you've enjoyed this install video. Thanks for watching.